Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Happy Monday. What's up, Amy? How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Back from a long weekend, but I have to say that the coffee machine is not working at Peoria this morning, so I'm dying.
And I would share with you, hopefully everyone else has coffee. I would share it with you, but COVID. So
That's right. That's all right. That's all right. So of all the mornings, I didn't stop by Starbucks, so that's okay.
dang, we'll get
All
you a
right.
coffee.
Are we ready to kick this Monday off? It's November 30th, last day of November before we get into December. Crazy.
Yeah, it is wild. I can't believe we're already in almost the last month of the year, and we're going into week 9. But what about week 8, Amy?
Yep. So week 8, we talked about consistency. We got so much great feedback from so many of you, from emails throughout the week, throughout the Thanksgiving holiday, really talking about ways that you're trying to figure out how to be consistent in your business. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about the effort that you put in every single day, and that's when the change happens. So start thinking about your consistency. And let's face it, if you run into a hiccup or you get off track, the beauty is you can get right on track that very next day. So thanks to all of you, and you made it a great week when we talked about consistency.
That's right. So let's talk about how we did, because Amy mentioned we got a ton of feedback, and it was really, really cool. Actually, the last 3 weeks, we've gotten a ton of feedback, right, Amy, in terms of reaching out when it comes to, dialing or texting. And then now this past week in terms of consistency and really focusing on what we need to be able to really make it easy to be consistent. So thanks to everyone who shared. We have a few people here. And the question that we asked in the survey yesterday, one of the questions was, what do you need to do to make it easy to be consistent? Because we can have plans to be consistent all day, but if we don't make it easy on ourselves, if we don't tee ourselves up for success, we're only making it more difficult for ourselves. We're setting ourselves up to fail. So the first person we want to recognize is Debbie Hepburn. And one of the things we realized when we asked this question, and the people that we're recognizing, is that they're talking about what they are going to be doing in the future. And so this is probably the best accountability that Debbie is going to get with several hundred people where she's sharing what she's going to do. So Debbie, let's root her on. What she is going to do is time block in her Ninja Planner. And she's going to set dates for monthly e-campaign newsletters, marketing schedule. And at the end of the day, really what Debbie's doing is she's systematizing working on the business. And that's what we talk about, is creating systems, using the tools that we have to be able to make it easy to be consistent. So congrats, Debbie. Thank you for sharing.
And then we've got Caitlin Wright out of the St. Charles office. So Caitlin talked about making sure that she does her outreach and her personal notes in the morning instead of in the afternoon. So she can actually start her day being able to do her outreach and her prospecting before the day gets away from her. And then she can do all of her other stuff of focusing on the business later on in the afternoon. So starting to recreate her plan for consistency.
It's great. Great job, Caitlin. And then we have Margie Hazlitt from the Evanston office. One of the things that really stuck out, I mean, it's a 1-sentence answer, 2-sentence answer, actually 3 sentences, but here's what it is breaking through the excuses. We can come up with a million excuses. I know Amy and I were talking this morning. We both had excuses coming back. This morning, it was tough to get started, potentially, back into the morning routine that we may have left over the holiday week. So, Margie, you hit the nail on the head. It's always moving forward, even if there is a step that's taken back. Always press forward. And break through the excuses, break through the things that we make up in our brain that make it hard for us to be consistent or do the things that we know we need to do.
And then we have 2 people actually from this past week who sent in information about success from taking action and being consistent. And so the first person we want to recognize is Carol Gold out of the Libertyville office. She was organizing her old files. I love it because she's getting ready for next year. And she came across a file that she had from a client 6 years ago. And her client's father had passed away. But what he had done is he had written out all of these notes about the house, how the architecture was, all of the improvements of the home. And it was like 4 pages of handwritten notes. And so she actually reached out to the client, said that she had found these, dropped them off over the holiday weekend, and was able to reconnect with this client. And this client was so appreciative that she had sent along this information or dropped this information off. So nice job, Carol. Way to reconnect with an old client and hopefully rekindle some opportunity.
Yes, awesome. And then our last, but certainly not least, Leslie McGuire out of the Winnetka office. She shared with us what she does on a weekly basis to tee herself up for connection. She sends out a weekly update to current clients, past clients, and now potential clients and people within the community. They're actually asking for her to send them this update. And it's super cool. It includes information about the market. It includes information about new listings or unique properties that have gone on. She's doing something called the White House, which is really, she's focusing on a white house within Winnetka or within the community each week, just highlighting. And then she's also including recipes and she's showing authenticity. She's showing her personality. It's super cool. And what she has is a template to make it easy. So she swaps out some of the information, but at the end of the day, she's made it easy for herself to be consistent. And when people are asking to receive this email proactively, you know that it's working. So congrats, Leslie. Thank you for sharing and sending us your weekly updates.
So congrats to all 5 of you. You're going to get a $50 Visa gift card. And remember, use it on yourselves. And if you can, try and shop locally. So Kevin, I know you want the party to continue, but I can still hear music in the background. Is that just me?
Oh. How about now?
Excellent. All right. I mean, I wanted to keep dancing all day, but I figured as we get serious now, as we focus on week 9, we are getting into marketing, one of my favorite topics. And we want to focus this week on what your marketing strategy is as you start planning for 2021.
So when we start planning, what is marketing, Amy?
So what is marketing exactly? It's the activity and process for creating, communicating, and delivering your offering and your value for your customers, your clients, your partners, really everyone at large. So it's really figuring out how to communicate what you are doing and what you have made available as a service for your clients out there.
Yeah, so why does marketing matter? Really, it's important because what this does is it reinforces the relationships you have. So if you have a relationship, it's impossible. Like when we talk about, you can't call someone every day. That might be, not number one,
creepy,
not feasible. What's that?
I said creepy.
Creepy. Yes. If you start calling someone every day, why? And we don't have enough time. If we talk about that number that Amy has talked about, 150, if we have 150 people we're focusing on, you can't hit them every day. You can't hit them once a month even is going to be a challenge with something personal. So the ideal situation is that you are marketing. This is what backs up the relationships. And marketing is not a one-time thing. Sometimes what we say when we talk with what people are doing in their marketing plan, they'll say, oh, I do something in the first quarter and then I do holiday cards. It's not enough. It's not a one-time hit. It's not a small thing. It is consistent. And coming off of last week, when we talk about consistency, your marketing has to be consistent. So you are always engaging with your consumers, always engaging with potential referral sources.
So what is your marketing strategy? So in week 5 of It's All About Love, we talked about your brand, who you are, what your brand consists of, and how you're going to make sure to get that out in front of everyone. We talked about consistency of pushing that brand identity out. Then in week 6, we talked about your value proposition, what you're doing, why you're doing it, and why it matters to the client or to the consumer. And then in week 7, we talked about prospecting, really getting out in front of people that you want to do business with. Well, marketing reinforces that brand identity, and it helps you when you've developed that value proposition, it helps you get that out in front of your prospects. So marketing really takes all of those weeks that we built upon, 5, 6, and 7, and helps us figure out a strategic way to get that out in front of people over and over and over again so that you get business coming back to you.
Yeah, and there's 2 types of marketing. So there's passive and there's active. And this is probably pretty self-explanatory, but we really want to break it down and make it easy so that you have really good examples to be able to use to be able to hit both passive and active. So let's talk about passive first.
Yeah, so it's really important because all of you out there usually do both. The marketing strategies that you have should be a combination of passive and active marketing. So passive marketing is simply the marketing or the promotional tools that we build to help explain what our service offering is to potential clients. In a nutshell, when we create it, it shows our brand and our company, and we really display it for everybody out there. Hopefully they'll see it or they'll stumble upon it. Good examples of passive marketing would be your direct mail. So every month in somebody's mailbox, they are reminded of your service, what you do, what your value proposition is, and what your brand is. AdWorks is another great example of passive marketing. It pops up in front of people. It doesn't make them have to do anything, but it is a constant reminder of who you are, your brand, and your value proposition. Print advertising is another example of this. So passive marketing, we do a lot of it, and it's really important to establish your brand, but it needs to go in combination with active marketing as well.
Yeah, that's right. And the passive marketing is automatic. Like it's what we say when we talk about set it and forget it, which differs from active marketing. Active marketing is where you are proactively reaching out and inviting and engaging and marketing to your people. Instead of putting things out and waiting for them to come to you, this is you going to them. And this is, this can be considered a part of prospecting, but really this is something where you're giving them a taste of what it's like to work with you, your expertise, and building the relationship in an active way. And this is, this year is a little bit different. We're going to talk about some things face-to-face, which I think are really important, but you can also do it virtually now. And I know when we talk about the examples, 3 good ones are pop buys. And we talked earlier about, someone we recognized who dropped off something on someone's patio. That's a pop buy. It doesn't mean you need to go in their house. It doesn't mean you need to engage in an unsafe way, but pop buys work. Whether it's something you order on Amazon, we had talked in the past about Rita Karen's ordering gifts. If you want to pop those by, drop them off. You could do that. It's easy. You don't need to engage in an unsafe way. So you can do it in the current environment. Real estate reviews, the same. This is leveraging and showing your value and what's going on in their neighborhood. You can do this virtually over Zoom. And then client parties. Now, this is something we may need to plan ahead or budget ahead for, but client parties are a great way to not only interact with each person or each client, past client referral source, but for them to interact with each other and essentially create a fan club for you. Them seeing all of the other people that really love you, love working with you, and have relationships with you will be really impactful.
So what we want you to think about is, what is your marketing strategy for 2021? As you're identifying it, you want it to be a combination of this passive and active marketing. You want to make sure that you've got both of those in tandem because they work off of one another. So now's the time to plan for your marketing strategy for 2021. So let's do it. Let's focus on it this week. Let's do it. Focus on it this week. Make it a priority, because you being able to establish this now is going to allow you to finish out your business plan and be ready on January 1st.
Yeah, so let's talk about 3 things, 3 steps to planning this out. Like Amy said, the first is defining your budget. The second is determining who your audience is. You clearly can't market to everybody. So who is your audience? And then third, plan for consistency. It's what we've been talking about the last week, which is making it easy so that you can be consistent, so your marketing isn't that one-hit wonder.
So let's talk about defining your budget. What I want you to first do is take a look at what you spent in 2020. This obviously was a little bit of a different year. For example, some of you who maybe did or usually plan for client parties or client gatherings, you may not have necessarily done this year. You might have put that money or channeled it somewhere else. But I want you to take a look at what you spent in 2020 and start thinking about what you're going to budget for 2021. And I also want you to think about 2 things. The first is, what specific marketing strategies did you spend on this year that you're going to continue for next year? It means they worked, they were effective, they were consistent, and there's something that you're going to continue. Then I want you to think about, what marketing did you feel was maybe not as effective? And maybe you want to take a look at pulling that out and replacing it with something else that may be more impactful. But here's the one thing I'm going to ask you to be cautious on, is if you pull the plug too soon, you may be taking something out that will eventually pay off. A good example of that is indirect mail. A lot of times people will put out a postcard, and after 4 months, if they don't get a call or any feedback from that postcard, they decide that they want to pull it. Rule of thumb is you usually have to give something at least 12 months to see if it's going to work. So take a look at what's working and what you're going to continue to do. See if there's anything you want to tweak for next year. The second thing that you want to do when you're defining your budget is determine your spending guideline. We recommend, and it's usually kind of a rule of thumb out there, that a minimum of 10% of your targeted gross commission income, that's GCI, should be spent on marketing your business. So a good example, if your targeted GCI for next year is $50,000, then your minimum marketing budget should be $5,000. If you're going to be making about $100,000, $10,000 is your marketing budget, etc. But use that as a baseline. It doesn't mean that you can't spend more. In fact, I know a lot of you actually do spend closer to 15% of your GCI on your marketing budget. But use this as a baseline and start figuring out what your budget is going to look like for next year.
Yeah, that's really great for step one. Step two is, who is your audience? This is super important. You know, there's a message in the chat about, Amy, what you were just talking about in terms of monthly mailers, you know, not working, quote unquote. This is where this is something that Amy and I are both very passionate about, because we want to make sure that you are spending money in the right place. If you're going to take 10% of your GCI, let's say your goal is 10 million, you're going to spend 25K this year. Let's put it in the right places. Number one, what's the number one focus? It should be your sphere of influence. And the reason being is you already have relationships with these people. They know your name. You have them ranked. They, when you send them something, whether it's a postcard or they see you on AdWorks, or you invite them to a party, or you invite them to a real estate review, they know who you are. It is much easier to turn your sphere of influence into referral bases and clients than it is people who don't know you. So what we say is max out your sphere of influence spend. Max it out. Now, there's a couple of caveats. If you are maxing it out, you could not possibly do more for your sphere of influence to generate referrals. Truly, think about it. If you could not do more, then we move on to phase two. The other scenario is if you just move here and you don't have a sphere, then you're going to have to build a sphere. So let's go to the second phase. This is, again, after you've maxed out your sphere of influence, now look at farming. When we talk about farming, this is where Amy's patience comes in, where she's talking about don't give up too soon. So let's think about this. Let's use the example Amy gave. You do direct mail for 4 months. They get 4 postcards over 120 days. People that don't know you get 4 postcards from you over 120 days. What is the likelihood that they're going to remember you or think of you? 0. So this is where we talk about focusing on your sphere first. Then if you are going to create a farm, creating a farm costs money. It takes time and patience and energy, because it's not just that 1 or 4 or 12 postcards that's going to generate business. It's them seeing you on AdWorks, because you also have a zip campaign. It's them seeing you in those direct mail. It's you targeting regionally on Facebook and Instagram. It is bus benches. It is billboards. It is all of the other things. And if you think about it, if a major company out there only did one thing, if they only sent you a postcard once a month and they didn't see you everywhere, how likely would you be to remember it? Very, very, very unlikely. So here's what the goal is. I need to breathe for a second because I'm getting super, super passionate.
Passionate?
Crazy. But this is the thing. Focus on your sphere of influence before you decide to blow a bunch of money on one 600-unit building or a 400-unit community. Figure out what you're doing for your sphere. Put your money there. And here's the greatest example that Thad Wong once told me, which is for everyone that's doing lead generation. If you have a sphere of influence and you are not spending money on your sphere and you are buying leads, and we have agents that are spending $50K a year and more on leads. If you're not spending money on your sphere and you're spending $50K on leads, just imagine if you took the $50K and spent it on your sphere. You could take everyone to Mexico for 5 days. And think about the referrals you would get out of that versus lead gen and trying to do that. I'm not putting down lead gen. I'm not putting down Zillow. I'm not putting down any of this. But think about where you're spending your money and where it's going to be most impactful and effective in generating business for you. So, step 3.
Whew, got through that one safely. All right, so let's plan for your consistency. So now's the time to determine your plan for the entire year. That is right. I want you to take a look at the 2021 calendar and start figuring out what your strategy is going to be from January through to December. So I want you to set it up and look at the 12 months and then know what you'll be doing every month. For example, if you're going to do direct mail, that is a consistent monthly campaign. So you lay that out and then you start figuring out, is it going to be the set it and forget it directly monthly mail program that we've got, which is great to opt into, or are you going to want to put a strategy or a thought into that direct mail? Start figuring that out now so that when January, February, March, when those months hit, you've already got a plan to implement and get it out. And then know what you'll be doing every quarter. You should be doing some sort of quality outreach every quarter to your sphere of influence. So if you have 250 people in there, that means all of those 250 people are going to get something of value of specific outreach from you once a quarter. Start planning it out right now. And then know what the special things are that you're going to be doing throughout the year. Again, depending on what 2021 looks like, you might be able to do a client event at the end of the year. That's something that I used to do when I sold. And I will tell you, I got clients every single time that were teed up for that next year. So then you want to also look at outlining your specific passive marketing plan to be executed on a monthly basis. So figure out the exact passive things you're going to be doing: direct mail, AdWorks, print advertising, social media posts. Plan for them now, and then outline your specific active marketing to be executed throughout the year. Figure out what your pop buys are going to be. Figure out what your quarterly quality touch is going to be to your sphere of influence. What is your client appreciation program looking like? What sort of real estate reviews am I going to do? Can I get a template set up to make it really easy to get this stuff out? Start planning it now so that you can have a strategy and be able to be consistent and get in front of your people for 2021.
So tomorrow we're going to be talking on coffee. So watch for the link tomorrow. It'll be available by 9:30. It'll be sent out. Again, it's not live. You don't need to register for it. You'll get it in your email. Just look for the video in the email, out by 9:30. And tomorrow we have a very special guest. We have Maria Malouf coming in from the North Shore to talk with us about marketing. And she's going to help us set up plans. And what's really cool about this, why you want to join us, is we have a marketing tool that you're going to be able to use. It's effectively a branding workbook where it has everything we've talked about when it comes to branding, when it comes to exposure, when it comes to marketing, and it's sample plans that you can use to create marketing for yourself for 2021. So when we talk about the plan, when Amy talks about making sure you have a plan for consistency, this is going to help you map it out. And then in addition to that, we also have our weekly packet.
Yep, so we've got your resources for success. We've got a SWOT marketing analysis. This helps you break down where your successes are, where your weaknesses are, where your opportunities are, and where you might need to change things up. So take a look at the SWOT analysis, see what you can look at in regards to your marketing strategy right now and some of the things you want to change for next year. And then we've also got a marketing plan in Excel for you to be able to use. So this is going to allow you to map out and budget for next year. It'll allow you to focus in on what you're doing monthly and then what you're looking at quarterly. It'll also allow you to take a look at what you're budgeting for your listings. So as you get listings and you look to, market those, you can also plan to incorporate that into your budget. And then we're going to send you out a link to the Agent Branding Handbook again. I know we sent this to you a couple of weeks ago when we focused on brand, but I am telling you, this is the most comprehensive piece that we have when you're taking a look at how you're going to market yourselves for next year. So make sure you download a copy of this. It's available in the CRM, but to make it easy, we'll make sure to send you a link this week as well. Well, thank you guys for joining us for another awesome week as we get ready to kick into our last month of this year. Let's make it a great week and get ready to outline our marketing plans for 2021.
And remember,
love yourself,
love others,
and love what you do. Make it a great week, and we'll see you tomorrow, you guys.